Yep, it's Cozy from the Axel team, and here today I'm speaking with Ari. As you guys may have known, we pushed out this GEKKO agent last week with virtuals. Ari was, one of the driving forces behind getting that out. So today we're just going to talk about the thought process behind creating it, what it was like actually going through the motions of creating it, and like some of the initial feedback. So without further ado, Ari, would love for you to maybe reintroduce yourself to anyone watching this for the first time, and then also talk about like kind of the idea of the virtuals agent.
Yeah, happy to. Hey everyone, I'm Ari. My title is Strategy and Ops at Axel. So the idea for GEKKO came about in an investor meeting actually. Have a lot of value add investors and they're great kind of thought partners in everything we do. A lot of the value capture in the AI agent space is going to these kind of social media forward-facing agents. And we had a lot of things we wanted to do with AI on Autopilot. And I guess the connection there is, well, why can't we just merge the two as opposed to some very esoteric technical concept that's running under the hood of Autopilot? We can still do that, but also give it this personality and it's out there interacting with people and posting on X. So kind of integrating this idea of, AI agents as pseudo memes with like real functionality under the hood.
So what was the thought process behind creating its personality? Like what were, did you A/B test things?
A lot of just riffing back and forth with the team. I mean, me, you, Ash, some of the investors too. I think it was a lot of brainstorming, came up with like a list of 10, whittle it down to maybe five or so. It was, some legal back and forth in terms of like what we're comfortable, what kind of personality and name we're willing to give it. At the end of the day, we liked GEKKO because it's weird. Like, there's a lot of just nostalgia culture movies around 1970s, 80s Wall Street culture. And and then when we started testing it through literally just creating ChatGPT wrappers with a Gordon GEKKO personality, we're like, oh, this is funny. Like we like this. This can go somewhere. So a lot of brainstorming, a lot of like testing it out. And then once we realized how funny it was, we're like, all right, GEKKO AI it is.
So what was the process of like creating the agent? How do you go like 0 to 1 with this? And what are some of the hurdles? What are some of the like things that you thought would be hard but actually were easy?
Virtuals IO makes it really easy, actually. They just have like the AI agent launchpad. The X personality is based on the inputs you put through virtuals. And yeah, we did some creation with ChatGPT. We use Meta AI for a little bit. But in terms of the X posting, the things that people really interact with and see day to day, virtuals made that super easy. Now the autopilot integration, that's all on our end. I mean, luckily we have a super great team. I mean, I didn't even like Dev was working with like world famous kind of artificial intelligence people when he was studying computer science at NYU. Ash was always just very keen to figure stuff out, and I think he has a little bit of AI background as well. So I kind of divide it between the technical integration side, and that's strictly our team, which they're, crushing it, and then the forward-facing personality X side, which Virtuals IO makes it super easy. We're constantly tinkering with it. And for example, we want it to have more like market insights, like lean more towards market insights and less towards, shit posting for lack of a better word. And that's just on us tinkering over time. We're gonna get it there for sure.
So do you mind telling me a little bit more about like what was it like working with virtuals? How did you get in touch with them? Like what was, the initial conversations like? How are they as partners?
Yeah. No, the team was great. I think the bottom line with virtuals is that they are, and of course I don't want to speak for them, but I think they're excited for any agent that comes to the space, especially on their launchpad, obviously, that brings more functionality, more like technical integration, not just an interesting personality posting out there and reply guying and all that stuff, but something that does that plus some sort of technical integration. So they were happy to support. Obviously, the Sequoia team has been great, also happy to support. And it's really they're aligning with that same narrative. If AI agents 1.0 what is meme coins disguised as AI agents. I think 2.0 is going to be more that plus some sort of functionality, whether it's on the DeFi side, which is what we're trying to tackle, but it could be anything. Like Seraph, for example, on the uh what is it, deep fake detection side. Yeah, so Virtuals 2.0 is definitely posting on X plus some other functionality.
So talk to me a little bit about like what was the actual launch week like? I, spent a couple close to all-nighters with you on this. So it was really hectic, but take me and the viewers in on what the actual scenes were like at Axel.
Yeah, very, very hectic. Anytime you're doing a TGE, it's very hectic. I think it was especially that case for us because, I mean, the bottom line is we raised 2.5 million from multiple investors, and anytime there's a token launch, they're going to want to be intimately involved. So a lot of back and forth on the thought process, on legal, on basically everything. And you really have to get all kinds of approvals before you do something like this. So that was probably, meeting after meeting, like this thing died and was revived like three times before we finally got to launch. And what we finally decided on was, all right, let's just do this thing 99% fair launch. Team has no allocation, investors waived token rights, and let's just make this cool project that we think is going to be super successful, drives a lot of attention to Autopilot, to Axel. And when we do the Axel Network token launch, sometime kind of, let's just say mid 2025, a lot of things to iron out before then. It's just going to make it that much more successful. So a lot of, I don't want to say herding cats, but a lot of just getting approvals here and there, and then just the stuff on our side, making sure um, the personality's right, the name's right, getting the description really tight and, really tight so that when it starts posting on X, it's posting the way we want it. There's an entire pre-launch checklist going back to the virtuals team that they provided us, like 4 pages of stuff you should do. We added so much context. I think it was like 12 pages by the end of it. Um, yeah, just a lot of crossing your T's, dotting your I's, because ideas are great, but it really comes down to execution.
Yeah, and like kind of on that note, like I remember, when this first went live, there was a lot of murmurs in our Discord channel about people asking, why would these
Yeah.
guys, not keep any allocation for themselves? Like, what the hell is this even about? Like, can you talk a little bit about that initial reaction and the town hall that we had right after?
Yeah, there was a lot of people were incredulous. Why would you launch a token and not have any allocation? I think I'll address that first. The actual Axel Network token is poised for 2025, and everything is really gearing towards that. And if we can launch this virtuals tokenized agent before then, which will make our Axel Network token that much more successful when we do launch it, like then allocation doesn't matter because there's like a bigger vision that we're heading towards. And the second thing is like, are incentives even aligned if the team and investors have no allocation? And really the answer to the first question is the answer to the second. There's a vision that we're building towards, and this was adding kind of fuel to the fire to get us there. I mean, GEKKO got to around 15 million market cap max before this like recent correction. Which by the way, it just broke out of that like downward channel. So it's back to breaking higher again. And not to mention, we're up to over 1,000 autopilot beta testers. Again, the beta was launched 3 weeks ago. And that just that's more activity on the Axel network. I think it's a virtuous cycle that we're going for, and every indication we're getting is that that's playing out. So there's a grander vision to this GEKKO launch, and that's why the 99%, we didn't want to get into community politics and all all this kind of stuff. So it's just like, you know what, this is a fair launch. We're working towards a greater vision here, and we think it's going to help us get there. And I think it has thus far.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what was it like seeing the adoption of autopilot towards autopilot and towards Axle from this token? Like, you just mentioned that there were a lot more autopilot users, but our Twitter got a nice bump. Do you mind talking a little bit about like the aftermath of this
Yeah.
weekend?
I mean, I think the KPIs we were aiming for with this launch was GEKKO token value, certainly, just because it brings more attention to the entire project. But Autopilot beta users, social people engaging in our Discord social media is always helpful as we push out more updates. But we, I believe, tripled or nearly tripled Autopilot beta testers. And the crazy part is Autopilot beta and V1 is very prescriptive right now. We're still training the AI under the hood. I mean, in this case, GEKKO, to do the trading for users. So with this kind of V1 early version, autonomous trading, but the parameters are prescriptive, 3x beta testers, social media, a lot of attention going to Axel right now. We had the Mario retweet, which was very helpful. Um, yeah, every KPI that we wanted this GEKKO token launch to elevate, so to speak, it's definitely it's gotten us there. So
Mhm.
I can only imagine once the full GEKKO autopilot integration is complete, how much better things will get.
Yeah, for sure. And like just to give some numbers to those like stats, Twitter went from 2.5 to 4K followers. Discord's above 1,000 followers, and we have, as already mentioned, the numbers with autopilot users and with like actual value for the GEKKO token.
Yeah,
So
just on Twitter, I mean, just people seeing that we're doing interesting stuff, creating value in the crypto space. That's all that matters, you know. And so when we do it, I don't want to say for real because not that GEKKO is for real, but when we do it with our original intention, essentially, a coordination layer between AI agents across kind of Web 2 and Web 3, I think people are going to get really excited.
cool. Well, hey, thanks for your time, Ari, and looking forward to continue to build for everyone watching. And yeah, thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Jacob. See you guys.